What's up, YouTube? Guerrero here with Light Bright, back again with our Kevin Stafford's top 10 free agents. We ended up with Landon Collins in our last conversation. I'll leave it up in the cards up here for you guys to check out. So we got quite a bit to say about these 8 and 9 players, Earl Thomas and Tyron Matthew. So we're gonna skip over them and jump right into number 6, 7, and 10 with Trey Flowers, Kwon Alexander, and Tyrell Williams. So, in my opinion, I think Trey Flowers, I have a feeling he's going to get signed by Seattle due to the fact that, Cam Chancellor's gone, Richard Sherman, Legion Boom, gone. No one. Just Bobby Wagner. I think they franchise tagged Clark, right? Was it Clark they
Yeah.
franchise tagged? Yeah,
Yep.
so I mean, defense in Seattle is definitely hurting. So I think I'm just gonna go with Seattle that they pick up Trey Flowers to kind of help out their D out a little bit to kind of shape that up a bit. But who you got taking Trey Flowers in free agency?
Uh, so with Trey Flowers, I really had to think long and hard about that one. I feel like Tennessee Titans makes a really good case for me, considering that they're letting go of Derek Morgan and Brian Arakpo. So they're kind of missing that, pass rush presence. Another team, like I discussed, if you guys watched our earlier videos with the top 10 draft picks, like I said, I have the Cardinals selecting Kyler Murray. But I think that if they do stick with Murray, I think Trey Flowers to Arizona Cardinals would make sense, just so they have that pass rush presence for them.
So you pretty positive that Arizona is gonna stick to Kyler Murray then as their number one instead of going after Nick Bosa?
Yeah, because I do believe so. I think they're going to go with Kyler Murray because the GM and the head coach have come out and said that they're willing to shop Josh Rosen. They're looking at maybe getting like a second or third round pick for him. So I mean, he's not really for what they're asking for. He's not valued high in their eye.
Okay, understandable. So our next guy is Kwon Alexander, who was released by Tampa. So on this one, I think I'm thinking I'm thinking Oakland here. I have to
Mhm.
say, Oakland. They lost Khalil Mack. Yeah, when you guys are watching this, it's Tuesday, so you've heard that AB is traded to the Oakland Raiders. So I mean, they fixed that wide receiver position from Amari Cooper left open. So I
Right.
mean, they gotta figure out something about losing Khalil Mack. Although
Yeah.
Khalil Mack's an edge rusher, I think having Alexander as that inside linebacker that'll kind of help with the defense, just in case they decide to go after a rookie in the draft. You need someone with experience. So I have to say Oakland in this case
Mhm.
might try to go pick up Kwon Alexander, unless they get
Yeah.
really crazy and try to pick up Le'Veon too. But
Yeah.
we'll have to see.
um. Well, for me, for Kwon Alexander, I think the one team that really makes the most sense for me for him to go to that would definitely help out their defense is New Orleans Saints. Um, at middle linebacker position, right now they have Monte Te'o. So, I mean, Monte Te'o or Kwon Alexander, I think I would take Kwon. And I just, it makes the most sense. It's the best fit where I think he could go.
Okay, I can see that. So okay, like I said, we're gonna skip over Earl Thomas and Tyron Matthew real quick and jump straight into Tyrell Williams. So this wide receiver, he's not a number one receiver. I don't think he's a number one, but the place I think he would fit best, and this is just to help him out, because Julian Edelman's getting older. Gronk was juggling retiring or not. I would have to say that the Patriots pick up Tyrell Williams to kind of help Brady out, give him someone else to throw to. I mean, kid's 6'4", he's a big guy.
Yeah.
They got Josh Gordon, but they released Brandon Cooks. Danny Amendola left last season. They got Julian Edelman, but that's basically all they had was Edelman and Gronk. Throughout the playoffs. That was his
And
two
yeah,
go to guys. So I feel like they might pick him up to give Brady a little bit more people to throw to
yeah,
in the end.
yeah.
So I have to go with the Pats here when it comes to Tyrell Williams.
Okay. With Tyron Williams, one of the teams that I seen, I had a couple of different teams that could really use his help. Arizona Cardinals being one, considering you have Larry Fitzgerald, who who in my eyes is a Hall of Famer, but he is getting old. They do have a Christian Kirk that they do like, but I think Tyrell would help them and you know help out the young gun, whoever is behind center for them. Another team I thought about was the Buffalo Bills, trying to help out Josh Allen there. They don't really have a number one. They don't really have, let's be honest, any really receivers,
That's
that are
true.
big names.
That's true.
Um, Now, I did have a team on here who had just recently, like we just discussed, the Oakland Raiders had just acquired Antonio Brown. But I still think that Oakland could maybe, he would be a good fit because now you have your number one receiver in Antonio Brown. Why not go ahead and solidify a number two receiver? And maybe draft a young gun to sit behind these two guys and just help if Derek Carr is going to be the quarterback for the Oakland Raiders this year. Why not give him a little more help?
I could see that. Yeah. Yeah, kind of help out that passing game, definitely.
Yeah.
Cool, cool. All right. So, all right, guys. Now we're gonna get into the big two guns that we got quite a bit to talk about with these two guys. We got Earl Thomas first. Wanted out of Seattle last year. Was hoping to get traded. The Chiefs were thinking about trading for him. Went down with an injury. The injury the week before. I think it was the week before deadline,
Yeah.
and so that went out of the window, and now he refuses to stay with Seattle. They're not franchise tagging him. So where do you think he's going to end up? Who do you think goes and picks up Earl Thomas?
So I really thought long and hard on this one. There's three teams that make a lot of sense to me right now. One of them being the Baltimore Ravens. I mean, shout out to Ed Reed. The Ravens haven't really had a truly dynamic free safety like that in a long time since Ed Reed has left. They did have Eric Weddle, but Eric Weddle and Ed Reed and Earl Thomas are all different players. They definitely don't, but I think that Earl Thomas would bring a nice presence to that team if they could manage to snag him. Another team I thought about was the San Diego Chargers, especially with them finally cutting ties with Jaleel Adai. They finally cut ties with him. So, could you imagine Earl Thomas, Derwin James? That could be a really nasty safety duo
That'd be
in
kind
my
of
eyes.
that'd be kind of a scary
Yeah.
defense to go up against there.
And then the last team I really thought about was the Green Bay Packers, considering that they traded HaHa Clinton Dix to the Washington Redskins. They don't have that safety presence anymore. So, Earl Thomas to the Packers is, either way, any of these teams that Earl Thomas goes to, all three of these teams are contending teams. And, they're all just looking for that right fit. So, any of these teams make sense. I couldn't pinpoint and tell you exactly which one I think he would go to, but they all make sense to me.
Yeah, I can see that. I can see that. Honestly, with Earl Thomas, I seen a lot of rumors that San Francisco's thinking about coming in and taking him out from under the rug there because they got Richard Sherman. Why not go ahead and unite two members of the Legion of Boom again? Kind
Right.
of, let's face it, San Francisco is going through a rebuilding period since that Super Bowl win
Yeah,
or loss actually to the
yeah, Super
Ravens.
Bowl loss. Yeah,
But since the last time they went to the Super Bowl, I should say they've been going through rebuilding period. With all the
yeah,
issues with Kaepernick. No defense really. Offense has been struggling. They thought they had a quarterback in Garoppolo. Garoppolo got hurt last year in Week 3. So there's no guarantee Garoppolo is going to come back just as strong. So
right.
I would have to see. I would have to say Earl Thomas getting signed by San Francisco, just to
Mhm.
kind of get, since it is kind of rebuilding. Might as well get some older players to help teach the younger guys. And
Yeah.
then another team I was thinking of, I'd have to agree with you, would be Green Bay. I think Green Bay would benefit from this this guy, but at the same time, I think Green Bay might spend a little more time looking for another receiver. They got rid of Jordy Nelson last year. They need
Mm.
Aaron Rodgers to get. They need someone to throw for Aaron Rodgers to throw to, but I could see that getting done. But
Yeah.
I would have to stick with San Francisco. I think I could see San Francisco coming in and picking them up.
Yeah.
So last but not least, YouTube, we got the Honey Badger, former Arizona Cardinal, released last offseason. Now went to become a Texan again, free agent again this year. So with the Honey Badger, where do you got the Honey Badger going?
So I have three different teams for the Honey Badger. One of those teams being the Oakland Raiders. I really think that with what Oakland's trying to do this year, I really think that Oakland's trying to make a big splash in free agency and drafting. Um, they just acquired AB. They do have a lot of cap space to play with, considering that they let go of Amari Cooper and Khalil Mack, who would have been set to make a mega deal if they would have held on to him. Um, I think it makes sense considering that they have. I mean, the Honey Badger can play the free safety position. They do have a Carl Joseph at the strong safety. We all do know that John Gruden isn't a big fan of Carl Joseph, but still, it still solidifies that secondary for them. Another team that I really strongly thought about was the New Orleans Saints for the Honey Badger. I mean, they have Mike Williams at free safety. You could plug in the Honey Badger at strong safety because that's what he was playing in Houston. He was playing strong safety. So I think that would be a good fit. And then my last team would, as much as I hate to say it, the Kansas City Chiefs. Um, I mean, if they don't acquire Earl Thomas, I think the Honey Badger is also a solid fit. If they're not able to acquire Earl Thomas, it would make sense to me that they sign the Honey Badger, plug him in at free safety, and keep Eric Berry for another year and try and find a successor for Berry.
And you're talking about Landon Collins, right? Not Earl Thomas.
Right, yeah.
Okay. Um. So with the Honey Badger, I would have to agree about the Chiefs. Possibly get them if it fell through with Landon Collins. But see, with the Honey Badger, I had a hard time with. I had a few teams in mind. I really couldn't narrow it down. I had Chicago thinking about picking them up just to build up that defense they already got. That stack. Like you said, the Honey Badger could play both free or strong safety.
Mhm.
So he's very versatile there. I could see the Ravens getting him because they did just lose Eric Weddle. They needed the second guy in the secondary there. So and then another team I was thinking about was the Bucks. Bucks haven't been the
Mm.
same for a long time. Gerald McCoy is probably gonna stay there, but you got the defensive line, but the Bucks hasn't been that super big defense since back in Warren Sapp's days, Rondé Barber's, and ooh, we just discussed this the other day.
Derek Brooks.
Derek Brooks, yeah, haven't been the same defense without those guys. So bringing in the Honey Badger would kind of like hype up the defense a little better and help them out too. They could use the help on defense, especially when you're playing against Carolina, New Orleans, and Atlanta, who all three teams of which are known to put up points.
Mhm.
They got great receivers, or they got good running backs that get into the backfield. You need someone back there to kind of help contain it and keep it from big yardage and big passing games. And kind of help keep points down to a minimal. And then, another team I was thinking about picking them up was Seattle. They just lost Earl Thomas, so they're
Mhm.
looking for someone to kind of fill that role. And why not go and get someone that's younger? He's kind of proven himself already in the league. Help
Mhm.
out Bobby Wagner there.
Yeah.
Kind of. I mean, they got. I can't remember which of the Griffin boys is the corner, Shaquem or Shaquille, but
It's Shaquille. Yeah, it's
Shaquille.
Shaquille.
I know one of the Griffin boys are corner. He looks to be a pretty good corner, but I mean, I could see them. I could see Seattle really making a kind of a hard run for one of these three safeties that are in the free agency, but not
Yeah.
excluding Earl Thomas. So I should say the other two safeties, Landon Collins or Tyron Mathieu, just
Right.
to kind of fill that gap that Earl Thomas is leaving.
Right.
So that that would be our picks, guys. Those are, we'll have to find out. Like I said, this video is on, it's Tuesday, so free agency opens up tomorrow, on Wednesday, the 13th. So we'll have to see who makes moves early, who waits and finds out who they're competing against, and who makes a splash, So we'll have to wait and see. We'll come back and discuss some of these players and who they got signed by, if it was anybody we thought, or if it was kind of more of a shock, or if it was somebody that, wow, we should have thought of that too, but we didn't. But join us next time when maybe Black Magic is on and everything. We can get his thoughts, or Don Mega's thoughts on these free agents and whatnot. So, all right, YouTube, that's the end of the top 10 free agents and where we think they might go. So you let us know.